Dr. Frederick
Okay.
Burton, Philadelphia. If you have any issues with that, then get in contact with me, and then I'll try to reach out to him and his wife on your behalf.
Okay. What's the best way to reach you? Probably get a whole bunch of stuff on there.
Yeah, email is good. The thing with emails is that a lot of times brothers and sisters do not put a subject line that is catchy or simple to understand. If I don't know why someone's contacting me,
Okay.
I'm not likely to respond because I'm so busy. So in the email, the
Okay.
subject line needs to jump out. Referral for doctor who will see children without referral for pediatrician for unvaccinated children, or something that jumps out that let me
Okay.
know exactly what this is, so I can get right to it. Sometimes people will send me like a 5-page letter. I'm not able to
Right.
get to the point, but if you do that, that's fine. You could also text me as well, and
Okay.
the email on the website is fine because that goes directly to the email. So I can be emailed on the website, drumarjohnson.com, or you can email me directly, drumarjohnson at yahoo.com. Either or, they both come to the same account.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem, sis. Thank you. Let me go ahead with that brother. Good brother. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, go right ahead with your question.
All right, it's not really a question. I have a situation. Um, my son's mother, he's not allowing me to see him, and like I have like a criminal history, so they are. I had that resolved, like I got treatment and everything like that, but we're going through the custody court, and they told me I have to wait until like basically June, so I haven't seen him since like the beginning of October. And I'm
Okay.
trying to get pointed in the right direction to see, what could I do, what steps could I take to be able to see him.
Well, sorry to hear about that. You may have to get an attorney. You may have to get a custody attorney, a custody lawyer. The other thing too is you should also write your judge. I've seen situations where a brother or mother would write to the judge about this situation involving their child, their love for their child. I would like to see my child. And sometimes the judge will respond, which is miraculous, especially in large cities. And where are you calling from, good brother?
Philadelphia.
Okay, so we're both in Philadelphia. Okay, wow. So Philly, very, very busy, but I've heard of it here too. I've heard of judges that have written people back. So if I were you, I would find out the judge address. I would write to that judge, and I would keep on writing to that judge. And I would also put in another petition. I would also put in another petition. I would go ahead down there to family court, put in another petition to get the current decision modified. You can challenge that current decision. Now, the thing about a lawyer, if you get an attorney involved, they can get you in front of a judge like next week. Doing it yourself may take a little bit more time. So I would write to the judge, but I would also put in another petition to go before the judge to have the current decision modified. I would challenge it. In essence, I would go ahead and challenge it. But trust me, writing to the judge sometimes, not all the time, but it sometimes bears some favorable fruit.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem, my brother. Good luck with that. Is there another question on the call this morning?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, sister. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Tallahassee, Florida.
Yes, indeed. I'll be in Jacksonville, Florida on Wednesday, December the 28th for Kwanzaa. Go right ahead.
Okay. This is my first year homeschooling. I have a son who's 15, a daughter who's 13. And I pulled them out of school for various reasons. But I'm facing some challenges with my son in terms of reading and comprehension, writing with understanding. And I've been just looking for ways to get him interested in reading, in independent reading, not so much curriculum required reading, we use the Florida Virtual School right now, being that I didn't select any other type of curriculum, being kind of new to this, and I just add the, I guess, the Afrocentric, additives, I'll say, for lack of a better word, to the curriculum. But my challenge with him now is getting him to read for comprehension and being able to write.
What grade is he in?
He is in the 8th grade.
Okay, he is in the 8th grade. Well, part of this situation, because he is an 8th grader, how long have you been homeschooling?
Just started August.
Okay, well, some of this is simply going to have to be transition. Some of it is going to have to be transition, but because he is an 8th grader, a lot of this you're just going to have to make him do because it's in his best interest. He might have a little laziness there, might be spoiled a little bit. So some of this, you're going to have to break him out of it. And the way you're going to do that is with consequences and rewards. So basically, you may set a goal for him, how much you're supposed to read a week or 2 weeks or for a whole month. And if he reaches the goal and he's able to answer some comprehension questions about what he read, because the goal of reading is to understand, then there may be a reward. If he fails to do the reading that is required from him on a daily basis, then there will be a consequence and that's given on a daily basis. So nothing motivates a child like rewards that they want and consequences they don't want. So the other thing too, because he is older, you need to have a serious conversation with him, about why you're homeschooling and how he feels about it. Because with older children, they're not necessarily going to be too open to going into a homeschool situation when socialization in public school with their peers becomes so much more important to them as they get older. So he may feel like he's being punished or penalized for being homeschooled in the first place. Now, the decision is ultimately yours because you have to do what's right for your son. But it's going to be very important that he understands exactly why this is being done, so he can understand that this is not a punishment. Because I think that some of this resistance is him rebelling against the fact that he never wanted to be homeschooled in the first place. And the other thing I would add to, go ahead.
That is, and that had been the feedback. I did what you just expressed, explaining to him and talking to him, and I did that leading up to this decision because of the fact that basically the establishment is saying my son can't read, he can't comprehend, I had this whole other scenario in terms of how, our black boys are being labeled, and I explained to him, I showed him the testing results. I went over the testing results with him, showing him that, well, I don't know what you were doing during this test, but this is what they're saying. But I know differently because I have read with you. We would take turns reading back and forth, so I know that there is some laziness in there. So I gave him the opportunity to select what he would like to read. And it leans toward all and any sport, but now I have to make some choices for him for content so that his vocabulary will be expanded and he can see different types of writing so he can try to be familiar when it's time for him to write. So I have had that discussion, and I do recognize that some of it is rebellion, but now that I'm really observing him closer, since I'm one-on-one with both of them for the most part, there are some comprehension issues that I'm recognizing.
Right.
And it's not, I keep explaining to him the only way to expand vocabulary is to read more.
You can't change behavior by explaining. You cannot change behavior by explaining. You change behavior through consequences and rewards. You can talk to him till you're blue in the face. The only thing that controls behavior is consequences and rewards. The other thing too is you got to get him out that house. Maybe the reading needs to be done at the library. Maybe the reading needs to be done at the local library. We also need to look at what he is reading, what we're asking him to read, Make sure he's involved in choosing what it is he's going to read. That's also very important. It should be, in my opinion, it should be non-fictional material, stuff that matters, not
Right.
make-believe. And start small. Since you guys are just getting started, it may just be a couple pages a day. That's it. And then you build up, to longer increments of reading material. But start small. You always want to start small, and grow slow. Slow and steady is better than leaps and bounds, because when you do leaps and bounds, children may begin to feel overwhelmed and they give up, and now you're back to square one. So slow and steady is what works best. But a lot of this,
Okay.
I know what, eighth grade, a lot of it is just the sheer laziness that comes from not wanting to do. And if he's used to getting his way with you, he's not going to do. So you're going to have to make up your mind that you're going to break his misbehavior. Ultimately, between a mother and a son, or any parent and a child, regardless of gender, it's a tug of war. The child has made up their mind that they're going to do things a certain way, whether you like it or not. You have to make up your mind that they're not going to do things a certain way, whether they like it or not. And ultimately, the person who has the most willpower wins. When a parent says, I can't do nothing to stop my child from doing X, Y, or Z, and you're not saying that, I'm just saying, for example, then basically what they're saying is the child won the willpower contest, period. The child, too often we let the kids win the willpower contest. It's about willpower. They want to stress you out till you leave them alone. It's a power play. And unless you're more committed to changing his behavior than he is committed to maintaining his behavior, it will never change. It's all up to us.
Uh,
We win or lose before we even try based on our mindset.
yeah. My second question to you is, are you familiar with any other online teaching modalities? I don't know if you're familiar with kind of like paralleling the curriculum in the public schools, and I went with it so that I would be satisfying the requirements that for the state of Florida for graduation purposes. Looking down the road, knowing that I would like both of these children to be college educated, so that I won't have any issues when it was time for them to go to college. But I'm kind of frustrated with that in a way, because just the way it's set up, and it's very stringent, and it doesn't give me a lot of flexibility as a parent. They have to do that curriculum.
But
Um,
but see, you can add
Once I have a
you can add anything that you want to add on top of that though. So
yeah,
I mean, he's going to have to meet, those requirements. See, here's the other thing too, is deciding how long, you plan on homeschooling. If you plan on homeschooling all the way to 12th grade, then you don't necessarily have to worry about that as much, because he's going to graduate, from you, basically. Not many states require that homeschool kids pass a test to get a diploma. So if you're going to homeschool him until he's completed, then you don't have to worry as much as a parent who's only going to homeschool for a couple years and put him back in school. So if there's a chance that he's going back to school before he graduates, then you're definitely going to need to make sure that you are keeping a close eye on his mastery of the expected grade level standards for his state. And it doesn't have to be that curriculum. You can download state standards from the website. You can go to your state Department of Education website and download the state standards. So you don't have to use that curriculum. You can make up your own. I mean, if you go to, any bookstore, there's curriculums you can get. I was at Barnes and Noble's yesterday here in Philadelphia. The education section is curriculums for every grade, every subject. You go online and Google it, it's there. Amazon. I mean, homeschooling is a very big industry because so many white parents are homeschooling. So you won't have a problem with materials, but I don't think your issue is materials. I think it's your son's lack of discipline and attitude. But you could definitely shop around. I mean, there's stuff all over. If you Google curriculum, homeschool 8th grade, you're going to see all kind of stuff pop up. Free stuff and not so free stuff. So it's just a matter of you choosing what you want to use. But you definitely want to make sure you use the state standards as a guide if you plan on sending him back to school at some point.
well, I was more concerned with when he gets of age to enter college for both of them, because my daughter is the exact polar opposite. She is dealing with this whole.
Let me do this. Let me jump in and do this since we spent a while on this. Let me give you my email, good
Yes.
sister, and send me an email, and we'll communicate that way. Or if you're interested in getting a one-on-one consultation, I charge $50 for that, and we can set that up as well. But let me give you the email address if you have a pen.
Okay, go ahead.
It's DRUMAR Johnson, JOHNSON @yahoo.com. Dr. Umar Johnson @yahoo.com. And we can continue
Okay, I
to
will.
communicate that way or do the one-on-one consult.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sis. No problem. Is there another question on the call this morning?
Yes, sir, I have a question.
Yes. Where are you calling from?
My name is Rachel. I'm calling from the Atlanta area.
Okay. You said Atlanta or Orlando?
Yes, Atlanta. My apologies.
Atlanta. Okay. Your voice a little low, but go right ahead, my brother.
Thank you, sir. I was actually referred to you by a good brother of mine in New York, Brother Samuel Alarafe. He told me to contact you about.
I can't hear you, my brother. I cannot hear you. You sound very low. I don't know if you got an earpiece but you're low.
Is it better?
That's much better. Go right ahead.
My headphone. Thank you. A good friend of mine, Brother Samuel Alalafe, he told me about you. He said to talk to you about my concerns.
What's your
And
question?
my concerns are, Dr. Johnson. Yes, my concern, sir, is I'm an adult person with ADHD. I've been following you for a couple of years, and I know that you have your views on ADHD. But my question is, as someone who's been diagnosed a couple of years ago, and I've been dealing with the symptoms for a long time, how do I deal with it?
Well, ADHD is a spectrum. There's a lot of symptoms to ADHD, and you can have 20 people with ADHD, and one symptom might affect one more than the other. For example, someone may be affected with mental disorganization, more so than focus, or they may be affected, by being overly agitated, as opposed to, zoning out. So, I mean, to target that, you would need to know specifically how it is manifesting itself within your life. However, one thing I would recommend, if you go to any bookstore and you go to the psychology section, there's dozens of workbooks. And I know because I was just in the psychology section yesterday. There's dozens of workbooks for adults dealing with ADHD. In fact, when I was working on my doctoral degree in clinical psychology, we had to purchase and study. ADHD was a big thing. So obviously, because it is a big thing, we had to spend a lot of time in our program, or a significant amount of our time, rather, dealing with ADHD. And so I actually used a workbook myself, to be honest, because from time to time, I struggle with those types of things, especially with all the different responsibilities that I have. Now, as far as ADHD goes, I'm against ADHD for children. If adults want to get diagnosed and if adults want to take drugs, that's their business. But children are not self-referred for medication, and they are not self-referred for ADHD. So my fight with ADHD is children, not adults. But I would definitely recommend you get one of those self-help books. I think they'll be a big help to you. Also, you want to simplify your life and simplify your schedule. Okay, because folks with quote unquote ADHD, they have difficulty managing a lot of things at one time, and they cannot operate in a disorganized way. So you basically want to come up with a system for your daily activities. You want to reduce distractions as much as possible. You want to make sure you're getting adequate sleep. And when you do work, you want to make sure there's zero distractions. People with a true problem, quote unquote ADHD, when they sit down to do work, they have to turn everything else off. They got to turn off the phone, the computer if it's time to type. If they have to study, they have to get rid of the tablets. There could be nothing else but what you are supposed to be focusing on, because the intensity of your distraction is greater than it is for other people. But also you want to watch your diet. You want to watch your sugar intake, your high fructose corn syrup, your caffeine, all of which can disrupt and work against the brain's ability to stay focused for a sustained amount of time. But there's a lot of good workbooks out there. Make sure you check them out well. Some of them are garbage and some of them are great. So, but I don't think you have a problem if you're committed to getting a hold of that mental disorganization or behavioral challenge situation, I don't think you have a problem with that. A lot of good books out there, along with the workbooks. There's a lot of good books in general that will help you as well. But it's so much. ADHD is an industry, so you definitely want to take your time. But if you go to any major bookstore, I'm sure you'll find something that can help you out.
All right. So one more question: what kind of workbook? Like, obviously, you use a workbook yourself to help you with your daily life. What kind of workbook would I be looking at? What are some indicators of an excellent workbook as far as like helping out with a schedule and whatnot?
Well, you would have to look through them. Like you would have to flip through them and see what works for you. They're all very different. So that's a goodness of fit question. So when you look at them, you'll say, okay, well, I like this one more than I like this one, because again, ADHD is a spectrum, and it's just so much, so many different ones that approach it in so many different ways that you just have to look at them. And there's so many. So you'll probably be in the bookstore for about a good hour because there's a lot there, but I'm sure you'll find something that'll work for you. Now, the other thing too, you might have to consider hiring a behavioral therapist. Behavioral therapist, and of course, I'm trained in cognitive behavioral therapy, but you would need to find a behavioral therapist, possibly, if you have trouble managing it yourself. Once you give it a serious effort, a behavioral therapist can help you with that too. So consider that a behavioral therapist or behavioral psychologist if you're not able to get a hold of it on your own.
That might be something to do. I've been attempting to work on it for many, many, many years since I was a teenager, and I only got diagnosed a couple of years ago. I'm in my early 30s right now. I've done a lot of natural remedies, talking to different people. I went, to a clinic, and I'm very well with the drugs and the danger, but at the same time, it's just like, it's so mind-boggling to know that you have so much potential and you can't get anything done. I feel so, crap, to be for lack of a better word, sir. So, but I'm going to go ahead and look again for a different book, and maybe I'll find something that resonates.
No problem. Also, if you need the contact information for the Association of Black Psychologists, if you need a referral, you can text me for that, and you can call them or email them, and they will definitely give you a referral for a psychologist in your area.
Okay, Association of Black Psychologists. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Is there another question on the call this morning?
Yes.
Boston,
Hello?
Massachusetts. Go right ahead, good sister.
Yes. Hi, Dr. Umar. This is Lucina again. I was able to get you again this week, which is great. I left you a message about my daughter because I know you said that you'll be heading into Boston sometime between now and January. So I did leave you a message on your phone about my daughter. But I actually, I wanted to ask you a little bit about, I don't know if you do job type stuff too, but I actually work for this company, and I've been working for them for a few years now. When I came into the company, the assistant manager automatically, he did not like me. He did not like me. Yeah, for some reason, he started backstabbing me and causing me all types of issues. The manager that hired me, he was telling him not to hire me because he knew that I was going to be good at the job. And then as I took the job, I overexcelled at the job, and I guess the material that the assistant manager was getting, he wasn't getting it anymore because of the fact that I actually had gotten hired. And basically, he was able to take all the leads and all the material and stuff like that, and he was allowed to set appointments too. Because they were allowing the managers to set appointments just like, they allow the business development reps too. And he actually took me out of material and tried to stop me from succeeding, and everything he put me in, I would still come out victorious.
Okay.
It was crazy. And then he quit. And then now the guy that's the manager now, he actually had took his place as the assistant manager, and the guy that's the manager now, he was actually the confirmation manager because Ryan had took his place at the job. And then now all of a sudden, Ryan had left and went to another job, and then what happened with my manager, Michael, is he actually is the manager now instead of the confirmation manager. So they gave him the manager's position back again. They promoted him a few times, and then they gave him the manager's position back again. Now, because of all the issues and stuff that I had with Ryan, Mike actually stabbed me in the back too and tried to cause me problems also. But it's this girl, Katie, that I brought to my job. I brought Katie to my job, and I I was thinking about the referral bonus. I was thinking greedy, and I know that obviously, I mean, money is not everything, and I don't know why, because I didn't need the $250 like that. But I thought, you know, this girl's young, she's black. You know, I basically thought like you do when you think about us as black people. You know what I mean? Looking out for another sister. She's young, she's in college. You know, and she's a Jamaican girl. So I bring her to my job instead of her letting me wean her in and introduce her to people and stuff like that. What she does is she gets in, Dr. Umar. She kicks me to the curb and acts like I didn't even bring her there and starts stabbing me and, you know, hooking up, you know, with different people and talking to different people and dealing with people. And she had everybody turned against me. She had, my manager was already two-faced with people. So he's weak-minded. He's one of those people-pleasing type managers. Okay? So she was able to get in his ear and everybody else's ear. The girl caused me all types of problems, Dr. Umar. Get smart all the time and everything. And I'm like, I have to catch myself because I'm like, you know what? I have two teenage kids, and you're not going to keep talking to me like that, Katie. You're 20-something years old, and I'm 38. You know what I mean? And this is like, I don't know. Like, I feel like, I'm like, damn, Ryan left, and he was causing me all those types of issues and trying to get me fired and stuff, and anything that he did against me, it never worked. And then now I brought this girl to my job, and I'm like, God, how do I don't understand how I trouble left, and then I brought more trouble to my job. How does that happen?
Well, number one, I don't think you should blame yourself for what has transpired as a result of you trying to help another black person. That's number one. You should not blame yourself. You did the right thing. You did the right thing, and you did what was right. She is the one that was wrong, you know, based on what you're saying. But now you're going to have to, and it's going to be tough, but you're going to have to forgive her for what she's done, because you have to work with her to some level. And then you have to forgive. Say that again.
Can you imagine?
Oh, that's going to be tough because she took advantage of you. She used you and then began to work against you. So I know how painful that can be, but
that's what she said to me. And it's, oh my God, you don't understand. It's so frustrating, it is, you know? And because I just start my own business and things like that too. But it's frustrating. It's upsetting. It really, really is. You know what I mean? And she's so sneaky and she's wicked. How do I get away from this? What is going on here? God. She's just so wicked and she's just so much trouble. And I'm like, Dad, I don't understand it.
Well, the other thing, you need to be keeping a log. You need to be keeping a log at that job in case you need to sue. So I hope you're recording everything, especially the interactions that you're having with your boss. And I would definitely start floating my resume elsewhere. I don't know how much time you have in at that job, but it doesn't sound like it's psychologically healthy for you to continue. In fact, you may want to get with your doctor and see if the doctor will order you to take mental health leave from your job for a couple weeks. That wouldn't hurt either, and that would also help substantiate your case against your boss in case you decide to pursue damages.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? That actually, I didn't even think about anything like that. Yeah, because I'm telling you, the situation is just out of control, and my manager is such a sucker. Like, she's so weak-minded. Like, you know, this girl stabbed me in the back, and like she's done all types of stuff. She's talking. You know, she just, like, causing me issues, like, you know, saying stuff about my kid, and you know what I mean? It's just
Right.
like, you know, and then you're like, Dad, how did you know about your kid? You know, I was talking about my daughter, you know, on the phone outside one day. She came out and was eavesdropping on my conversation. And talked about my kid, you know, and
Right.
she just caused, like, so many issues. She took me to court and everything. You know, I'm telling you. It's only by the grace of God that I didn't even touch this girl. She's so tiny, but she's so wicked and she's vicious. That girl's evil. And I can't even believe I brought somebody like that to my workplace.
I got you. But you gotta stop. You can't keep going back to what has happened though. You gotta move forward. It was wrong and it's hurtful, but you gotta move forward. Otherwise, you'll keep wounding yourself over and over again with what she has done. So you know that'll put you in a deep depression. So you have to try to keep your mind from going back to coulda, shoulda, woulda. Coulda, shoulda, woulda has led a lot of people to alcoholism. Coulda, shoulda, woulda has led a lot of people to depression. Coulda, shoulda, woulda has led a lot of people to suicide. So we definitely you don't want to deal with the coulda, shoulda, wouldas because you cannot control what.
Going to court?
Say that again.
Can you imagine that, Dr. Umar, me going to court? She
Yeah,
took
you.
me to court. I got humiliated in my workplace. Everybody knew she was taking me and everything. All my co-workers and everything.
I got
knew
you.
This girl was taking me to court. Yeah. And my
I got you.
sister knew too.
Let's do this.
And I said, okay.
Let's do this. Shoot me a text, love, and we let's talk a little bit later about that.
Okay.
Okay, some things that some things you can do.
Okay.
No problem, sweetie, but
Okay. Yeah.
but definitely think about that medical leave, that the mental health leave. I think I think your doctor would be agreeable to that. I'm not sure if it's paid or not, but it'll definitely give you some time away so you can refocus and come on back. If coming back is what's best for you, it may be time to look for another job.
Okay. Definitely. Okay, I started my own business too, so.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello? I'm doing a few different things.
Will do. All right, sis. No problem.
Okay, I'll talk to you. Okay.
All right, love. Stay strong. Is there another?
Hello? Thank you, darling.
Okay. Is there another question? Okay, I need everybody to stop talking on the line. Okay, mute your phone. The line is not for conversation. It's to talk to me. Is there another question on the line right now?
Hello?
Yes. Where are you calling from, sister?
Okay, Springfield, Massachusetts.
Springfield, Massachusetts. Go right ahead.
Okay, I'm calling about relationship issues and how it affects the kid and their ability to learn. So my question is, I'm a single parent, and I'm wondering, my son is 3, and when do I need to get into another relationship? How important is it for my son to for me to be in another relationship? I'm pretty close to being financially secure on my own. And I've had a lot of past issues in relationships, so I'm not sure that I really want to do the work that it takes to be in a relationship, but I'm not manly at all. So I don't know how I would teach him anything about what men do. And as a matter of fact, I'm kind of a soft woman, so it concerns me a little bit how it'll be when he gets a little bit older. I don't know what it's like to be a man. I don't know how you need to discipline them for them to do what they're supposed to do. But I'm curious about his emotional state. I don't want to be in a relationship with his father again because I think he's a little bit, cray. But I just wonder how important it is to move on and how that will affect his life. Like his own private life when he's in his room by himself or when he's with his friends. For me to bring another man in here.
How old?
Because at this point I'm still breastfeeding my son, so that would put some space in between us. And what kind of emotional problems would that cause?
How old is your son?
He's 3.
To be honest with you, I think it's a bit too early with him being 3 years old to be concerned about that. Your son doesn't need you to be in a relationship and he doesn't need you to be married. But what he will need is a relationship with his biological father. And hopefully the biological father is willing and able to participate in his life. If he's not, then in addition to a relationship with his biological father, he would need to have a relationship with another male figure, a male figure or father figure. That is what's going to be most important for him, not you being in a relationship or being married.
What are some ways that some safe ways that I can, that could become available to me? Because I'm not about to leave my son with any man that I don't know.
Well, again, we're too.
I mean, like, no, or he's not being supervised. I'm not about to leave him with anyone.
Well, again, he's only 3 years old, so I think you're worrying about.
Even as he gets older, because I could stay single. I'm sure for a while because I know that I'm not willing to do any type of work. I'm not willing to cook, wash clothes, nothing. So I could do that for a long time. I mean, there's a lot of responsibility. I'm just wondering seriously for my son how, if I'm enough, I guess is what I'm asking. Am I in a...
Okay, I need you to hear me because I don't think you're hearing me. I need you to hear me.
Okay.
Your son is only 3 years old. He's 3.
Right.
So he still needs his mom, and that's who he's clinging to.
Right.
I think you're worrying about things too soon. He's only 3.
Okay.
Okay, the biggest thing now is to make sure that he has a relationship with his biological father, whether that's supervised visitation, whether it's partial custody, whatever it is. He needs a relationship with his biological father and you, his mother. That's the most important thing right now. That other stuff, that doesn't come until later. So, you know, when it comes to children and their development, we have to do the best we can with where they are. Worrying about what he's going to need 10 years from now, you know, or 8 years from now, I think is putting the cart before the horse. He's only 3 years old. So much can happen between now and by the time he's 5. You could be married by the time he's 5. You know, you could be in a relationship by the time he's 5. You know, his relationship with his father may develop and get even better between now and by the time he's 5. So I think that you need not worry about anything right now, but making sure that you spend a quality time with him and making sure he has a relationship with his father. That's it for right now.
Okay. All right.
You follow me?
Thank you.
No problem. All right, sweetie. Is there another question on the call today?
I have one, Dr. Umar.
Yes, ma'am. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Allentown, Pennsylvania. Go right ahead.
Yes. So here's my situation. I'm a single mom, and when I came to Allentown, I realized that the school system was really, really
Wait, just a second. I need everybody to mute your phone. I'm hearing background conversations. Don't come on my call with background conversation. Please be respectful. Mute your phone. If you cannot mute it, then hang up. I don't want to hear all that background side talk. Go ahead, good sister.
Yes. So what I did was I put her into private school, and, you know, it was a private school where it was mostly white children. And at first, my only concern was really her getting a good education. But so now that she's gone to high school, now she's in boarding school. And, of course, she's one of few black students at the boarding school. So I guess my concern is really just her being aware, being conscious, and not getting this false sense of what reality is. Like everywhere is in roses, and everything isn't good all the time, and you're gonna come up, upon hardships and things of that nature. So, I really try to get her involved in things in the community. Like she went to a workshop in Philadelphia, and I wanted her to make connections, with other young black girls, and it was just like. That's what I struggle with at this point. You know what I mean? Like, she's getting the education, but is she getting the cultural, of being black and realizing that there's certain things that you're going to come up against, and I just want her to be ready. You know what I mean? I just don't know.
What grade is she in? What grade is she in?
She's in 9th grade now.
Okay, she's in high school. I mean, I went to a residential boarding school for high school myself. And we really didn't get much of any culture. We only had one black teacher in the whole school, even though the student population was 90% black. It's your responsibility to provide her with the cultural enrichment. The school isn't going to do it, so you have to do it. She's at an age now where she can start going to lectures. She can start going to different events. She definitely needs to be reading about her African history and culture, but I think also you have to make a concerted effort to plan for the both of you to go to different types of culturally enriching places. So, the Great Blacks and Wax Museum, you guys may need to travel around. There's an entire website several websites dedicated to places of African American historical significance. So make it fun. Take it to the Frederick Douglass Home, the Harriet Tubman House, the Nat Turner Trail, the Oyotunji African Village in South Carolina. I mean, there's so many different things, that are out there that are really provide her with that cultural understanding that she's not going to get at school. You may also want to consider enrolling her in my second annual Unapologetically African College Tour for 11 to 17-year-old black children. We will be going on the tour from June 28th to July the 12th. June 28th to July the 12th. And we'll be leaving from Atlanta, Georgia. It's 2 weeks, 14 days, 14 nights. The cost of the tour is $3,500, but I will pay $1,500 for each child, and the parents pay the other $2,000. So I think that would be good for her. That would really, really be good for her, because that'll be a crash course, and she'll get everything she needs hanging with us for the 2 weeks. But outside of that, I think there's so much you guys can do together, even in Pennsylvania, because obviously there's a lot here in Philadelphia. You have to take her to the Black African Holocaust Museum in Philadelphia. That's an absolute must down in on Richmond Street. You know, you got the African American Museum in Philadelphia. You have the Robert Purvis graveyard, Independence Hall. She needs to go there, not for Constitution reasons, because that's where they wrote the Constitution, but also that's where black people were hanged. They were hanged in that courtyard. Slaves, enslaved Africans were hanged. But there's a lot here and across Pennsylvania. The John Brown House up in Chambersburg, Martin Delaney home up in Chambersburg, and then you go over to West Virginia and you have things there. So there's a lot. There's a whole lot. In fact, there's a book on African American historical sites in Pennsylvania. It's a complete. Charles Blockson did it, who's an African historian, who has the Blockson collection that he donated to Temple University a couple years ago. He did a book on African Americans in Pennsylvania, African American history in Pennsylvania. It is nothing but sites and landmarks, things that black people have done here, different slave massacres, rebellions, Underground Railroad, just in Pennsylvania. And of course, you got Maryland, you got Delaware, you got New Jersey. So there's so much you guys can research together at the library, and so much you guys can do together. So you won't have a problem finding things, and you can always call on me as a resource too. But I would say the first thing, get her to the Black African Holocaust Museum in Philadelphia down on Richmond Street.
All right, I appreciate that. Can you send a link for the other thing you were just now talking about?
Yes, that link isn't ready just yet, the college tour. I'm working on having that ready New Year's Day. So what you could do is just get back in contact with me New Year's Day. You can send me a text, or an email, and I should have that information there.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. And you have my contact, good sister?
The email?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Okay, no problem.
All right, thank you.
Thanks a lot. Is there another question on the call this morning?
Good morning. Yes, I have a question.
Where
my
are you
name is
calling
Sally.
from?
I'm calling from Jamaica, New York.
Jamaica, New York. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. He has a profound deafness, but he has a cochlear implant, which allows him to hear. Now he's in mainstream. He's in high school. He was left back for 2 years, and he was in special education, but he's not in special education anymore, but he does have an IEP. Last year, in April, he started getting sick, and the doctor had diagnosed him with a seizure disorder. They prescribed him medication, and I've been giving it to him. After he was on the medication, he passed out on a train. He had a seizure on the train. The police called me. They sent him to the hospital. He recovered. He was okay. Fast forward, recently, November 21st, on his way home from school, he came home and told me, "Mommy, I saw something." I was like, "What did you see?" I saw somebody jumping. He was describing it very explicitly.
Wait, he saw somebody do what? He saw somebody do what? I didn't hear that.
Commit suicide, jump in front of a train.
Okay.
And at first, I'm ashamed to say, at first I didn't believe him. I thought that maybe it was the medicine. Maybe, the medicine is making him hallucinate. I did everything. I thought I didn't believe him. And so I looked on the news. It didn't come on the news. I looked on the website. On the internet. It wasn't on the internet. I called MTA. They They never picked up. I called 311. I called the councilman's office. I called the precinct, and the only information I could get was that the officer at the precinct told me that she could not confirm that it happened, but that she suggested I get him some type of trauma counseling. I feel kind of, I feel that it's my responsibility to, if this really happened, but it's no way that I can find out if these fatalities won't help me or tell me what happened.
Okay, I think I lost you a little bit in terms of what you. Okay, Okay, did he see somebody commit suicide, or was that in his mind?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, what? He saw somebody commit suicide, or was it in his mind?
Right. I believe that
he
did see it.
Okay, but someone saying he didn't see it?
No, I'm saying that it wasn't on the news and it wasn't publicized.
Okay, so he saw somebody commit suicide. So now take me to your question.
Yes. My question is, all right, I want confirmation from them, okay? But
confirmation from who? You want confirmation from who?
From the city.
About
from the city.
That someone committed suicide.
Yes.
Okay, and you need that confirmation for what?
I just guess for my own self, but
okay.
I do believe him. So I guess I'm in between a rock and a
Okay, okay. Is there someone saying that they don't believe him?
No, nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that they don't believe him.
Okay, but you need confirmation because you believe he may not be telling the truth.
No, I believe him now, but at first I don't. Yeah, I do believe him, but I just think.
Let me ask you this:
tell me.
Okay, I'm a little lost on. Okay, whether you believe him or not. Where's this going?
Him.
What are we looking for?
Okay, I'm looking for what is it that I should do? Okay,
about.
Because I was thinking maybe I should about him seeing that and
he needs therapy. About him seeing that, he needs therapy. That's what he needs. He needs therapy.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So and my question is with that is I don't know if I trust the school system or should I tell his teacher or the counselors in his school because he said he don't want to talk about it and I don't want to push him to do something that he don't really want to do, but I want to do what's right for him.
Well, here's the thing. He may be suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. He may be suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of what he saw. No teacher, no counselor in that school can provide him with treatment for that. Do they need to know? You have to decide that. If there's a reason why you think they may need to know, like if it's beginning to affect his behavior, if it's affecting his grades, he may need to know. And if it's affecting his ability to function in school, then he might need a 504 plan for a kid with post-traumatic stress disorder. So he needs therapy. And he needs it soon because post-traumatic stress can develop into, those symptoms can get worse over time. It's like someone coming back from, war. Post-traumatic stress, that's a powerful thing because you will have recurrent memories and recurrent dreams of the stimulating situation, which you may have a difficult time discriminating between truth and false, what's real and what's not. So, a child dealing with post-traumatic stress, him seeing somebody commit suicide, that is a very traumatizing thing. That is very traumatizing. So you absolutely have to get him professional help, and the school should not be a part of that at all. All they need to know is whether or not he may need a 504 plan, certain accommodations to help him adjust because of the PTSD. But they cannot solve his problems. Schools don't solve problems. Okay, schools do not solve problems. They may diagnose them, they may create them, but they do not solve them. So what you need, and where are you based at again, good sister? What state, what city?
In Jamaica, Queens.
Okay, you're up in New York. Okay, there's a lot of psychologists in New York. What I need you to do, you could text me following this call, and I will text you the name and phone number. The name and phone number for the Association of Black Psychologists so you can get a referral. And make sure you tell them you need somebody who's experienced working with children with post-traumatic stress disorder.
Okay.
Quick question. Where is his biological father?
biological father is around, and that they just started to redevelop their relationship after I stopped pressuring him to do it. Yeah.
Okay, so they're working on it now. They're seeing each other.
Yes, they are. They are seeing each other. And then I told him about it, and I spoke to him about it. He spoke to his son about it. Then he called me back and told me he don't, that he doesn't want the school to know, and that he doesn't want to talk about it, just to leave him alone about it.
The father said that?
Yeah, his father said to leave him alone about it, and that when he's ready to talk about it, then if he...
Oh, yeah, you can't force him. I agree with that. Like, nobody should be
Right.
constantly trying to get him to talk about it. No, I agree with that.
Right.
If he don't want to talk about it, y'all leave him alone. But he still needs to talk to somebody
Okay.
professionally. Y'all not the therapist. Get him to the therapist.
All right. Okay.
All right. Well, good luck with that. Keep me posted if anything changes on that. Oh, one thing I do want to tell you. One thing I do want to say. When he goes to therapy, the therapist might recommend medication. Now, depending on how strong your son's symptoms are, he might need some medication in the short term. But those antipsychotics that they use for PTSD, they are very, very powerful. They are not designed for children, but sometimes children have to take them for their PTSD symptoms. Please, 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 please understand that they come with a great deal of side effects, a great deal of danger. So try to stay away from the drugs as much as possible. But if you feel your son cannot function without them, so be them. But keep in mind, all they do is suppress the symptoms. They do not solve the problem. But please, please try to keep them away from the medicine, because I'm promising you they're going to push it. Just say no. You can refuse it unless you feel the symptoms are so powerful that it's beginning to destroy your son's life. Other than that, I wouldn't put my son on those drugs.
Yeah. Okay. That's okay. Yeah. I don't want to put him on a medication either.
Okay. Well, keep me posted on that.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to text you. You're going to text me. What did you say? The Association of
Black Psychologists. I'm going to text you their phone number and email so you can get a referral. Do you have my number?
Yes.
Okay. So make sure you send me that text.
Okay.
All right, love.
Thank you.
No problem. Take care. Is there another question on the call this morning? Is there another?
Yes, I'm here. I have a question.
Yes. Where are you calling from?
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. Go right ahead, sister.
Okay, so my son, so he's 12 now. He's in the 5th grade. He was held back in the 1st grade. He had eczema really bad, and he missed a lot of school. And I'm sorry, I'm breathing hard. I'm just now getting there and getting the kids ready and stuff at school. Okay, so my question now, he is 2 years older than most of the kids in his class. He's wanting to move up a grade, and so I printed out the curriculum that the school uses for the 6th grade students, and then I've broken it up into weeks, and then I've broken it up into days, and I was going to try to just send the app, because I get off of work at 4:30, so from 4:30 or from like 6 till 8:30, we were going to work on this 6th grade curriculum. His principal, however, doesn't think that it's a good idea to try to move him up because he's in the 5th grade now. And so
Okay, so you was going to move him by 2 grades?
Right. Well, I was going to let him complete his 5th grade year. So that's what grade he's currently in. And so in the fall, I just wanted him to skip the 6th grade and go to the 7th.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that. What is the principal's reason for not doing it?
He said that usually, he didn't really give a reason why he didn't want it to happen. He just said usually they'll do it in the lower grades, but he's never seen them do it. And so he was just trying, and so basically he kind of gave me a roundabout answer, and he said that they've never done it, So he doesn't want me to get my hopes up into thinking that they're going to do it, but he's not saying that they can't do it. And so I just wanted to know, for me, are there any laws that could prevent this, or
Well, it comes down to school district policy, whether or not your son's school district has a policy. You got to find out what the school district policy is on a child being skipped. And you don't ask the principal for that. You get that from downtown. You don't even let the principal know you're looking for it. You know, you contact them. You don't tell them nothing, what school your son go to or nothing. You know, I'm just doing research on, you could tell them I'm a parent advocate. I'm trying to help someone out. I'm trying to find what the school district policy is on kids being skipped to grade or 2, and where can I find that in writing. You want to see what it says in writing. You need to be armed with that information. There's no law against skipping a kid. Now, school districts like to have little policies where they don't like to skip, but I'm not aware of any school district in America that doesn't allow kids to be skipped. Most of them don't like to do it. Okay, most of them don't like to do it, but I'm not aware of any school district that does not allow it, that has a policy against it. There is no state law against it anywhere. Okay, there's no state law against it anywhere. So find out what the policy is. But if you want your son to be moved up a grade, there's nothing they can do about it. You know, if he has already mastered the grade level material where he at, you know, you don't want him wasting his time. So it'll be nothing. It'll be nothing they can do about it.
okay,
But you got to get the information so you know what you're dealing with.
okay. And so when they give me that information, will that also, because I'm kind of just like there's no set thing that I need to do that I feel like that's been set in place. So I printed out the curriculum and broke it down, and I have that set up. But is that all that I need to be working on doing, or are there assessments that go with it?
Well, that's why you need the policy. The policy will determine whether or not he need to be tested or anything. Some districts, for a kid to be skipped, he got to be tested by the psychologist, you know, for IQ or for achievement levels or so forth and so on. So that's what needs to be done. You know, find out the policy. Most districts, to skip a kid, you don't necessarily need to be tested. Testing is normally for early admission. So if you want a child to be admitted into school early, you know, let's say he's 5 and, you know, the school district don't let you start kindergarten until 6 and you feel your child is ready, then there might be an evaluation that is done to make sure he is at a level where he should be allowed to start school early.
Okay.
All right. So get that policy info. That's what you need.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Is there another question on the call this morning? Okay. Did I get to everybody? All right. So on that note, just a couple of announcements. Kwanzaa tour will be coming up. Dr. Umar Johnson will be speaking in Baltimore, Maryland on Monday, December the 26th. Baltimore, Maryland, Monday, December the 26th. Okay. And then I will be speaking in Jacksonville, Florida, Wednesday, December the 28th. I will be speaking in Detroit, Michigan, Motown, Detroit, Michigan, Friday, December the 30th. And we will end Kwanzaa off on New Year's Day in Atlanta, Georgia, Sunday, January the 1st, Shrine of the Black Madonna. And then we will head to Los Angeles, California, on Saturday, January the 7th. And then we will head to Durham, North Carolina, on Tuesday, January the 17th. So that is the tour. Those are my next 6 stops. You can get your tickets at princeofpanafricanism.eventbrite.com, princeofpanafricanism.eventbrite.com. As far as the fundraiser for the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, we're still pushing on. There's a chance that we may move to a different fundraising platform in 2017. That's why you don't see the page up right now. We may be moving to a different fundraising platform. But in the meantime, for the new year, you can continue to send your donations payable to FDMG Academy to P.O. Box 6872, Philadelphia, PA 19132. Again, FDMG Academy, P.O. Box 6872, Philadelphia, PA 19132. Resumes, if you like to work at the school, can be sent to fdmgresumes@gmail.com. fdmgresumes drumresumes@gmail.com. I'm working on a college tour. I'm working on the next 4th annual Dr. Umar Africa trip. You know, we do a 2-week trip in Africa. I'm also working on the extended 90-day repatriation task force, extended 90-day repatriation task force. We're working on that as well. Also the ex-offender conference, also the 18 to 25-year-old college tour for brothers and sisters. All right. So if you need to reach me, drumarjohnson.com. Email drumarjohnson@yahoo.com. Phone is 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858. For those of you who are coming out to any of the upcoming lectures, you are advised to not wait to the last minute to get your tickets. Once they're gone, they're gone. We had to turn a lot of people away in Queens this past Sunday. Shout out to New York City. I will be back in New York City on Thursday, January 12th. I will be in Brooklyn. Once again, I will be back in New York City on Thursday, January the 12th. I will be in Brooklyn to celebrate the birthday of the late, great Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. That will be at the Brooklyn Christian Center, 1061 Atlantic Avenue. So Brooklyn, we will be back soon. All right. One love, family. Prince of Pan Africa. Yeah. Yes.
One quick question, if I may.
Sure. Where you calling from?
New Jersey.
Go ahead.
What is your advice for parents who are casually being threatened to have DIFAS called on them when they don't move fast enough with any little thing in these public schools?
Any little thing like what?
Such as, so a friend of mine was called, told that his daughter threw up. She's about 4 years old. And he was not able to get there immediately, but he said he would come. Even before he could get the words out of his mouth as a single father, the principal said to him that if he didn't come, another institution would definitely be coming to pick up his daughter.
Okay, they wanted him to pick up his daughter and do what with her?
Pick her up because she has thrown up. So apparently part of the policy is if a child throws up or has a fever or something like that, they have to be picked up from school.
Okay.
So within the very first phone call, the father, the black father, who's a single father, was told that, you know, if you don't come soon, another institution will be coming to pick up your daughter.
I would write a letter to the superintendent. I think that's disrespectful to the parent. I think it's disrespectful to the parent. Now, on the school's behalf, though, I do think that, you know, having been a principal myself, okay, sometimes children do have to be picked up. So if he cannot do it, there should be emergency contact people, you know, on the child's record who can come and pick him up. So in emergencies, I do agree with the school that someone should be able to come and get that child if they have to be picked up. It doesn't have to be the dad. So then the question becomes, where are the emergency contacts? So I do understand that aspect of it. But even in a case like that, that should not automatically result in a DIFAS referral. And I'm very familiar with DIFAS. I did my internship, my pre-doctoral internship with DIFAS in Trenton, New Jersey. So I know how they are. But that's an insult. That's an insult. If I was him, I would write a letter to the superintendent, and I would probably write a letter to my elected officials complaining about that because, you know, get your state rep and your U.S. rep and your state senator and your U.S. senator involved in that because they are the upholders of the law. And there's no law that says a parent must be reported to Child Protective Services because they didn't pick up their child in an emergency situation if they wasn't able to get to him. However, he needs to update his emergency contacts. He must have emergency contacts. So he needs to update that. But at the same time, I think I would have to write a letter of complaint because, you know, he could basically put them on the spot by saying, I want to know what the district policy is for parents who are called, you know, to come and pick up their child because of medical illness and they cannot get there. Now, a lot of times if the parent cannot come, if it's not a life-threatening situation or very serious illness, the kid just kind of hangs out with the nurse. I mean, they just sleep and stay with the nurse until the end of the day, you know, unless it's something that requires them to go home right that time, right at that moment. So again, policy needs to be clarified. Policy needs to be clarified. He needs to research the policy. He needs to ask about the policy, not on the school level, but on the district level. And I think he needs to, send out some letters of complaint, but he also needs to update his emergency contacts.
Got it. Okay, thank you so much.
Got you, no problem.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Where you calling from?
I'm calling from Arlington, Virginia.
Go right ahead.
Okay, I just have a question. My son, they diagnosed him with having like ADHD. They're trying to make it like he has some type of sensory processing disorder. He needs, he has to have movement breaks. He has to have like different types of cheers or jump on balls to be able to control himself. But it's basically they're trying to make it like he can't control himself. He needs all of these things to be able to do his work. Now, a lot of the things that they say that they see in the classroom, I don't see at home. Some of it I do, but a lot of it I don't see at home. And they'll call me a lot of times and they'll say, he's having a meltdown. He doesn't want to do his work. And then when I ask him, why is he not doing his work, he'll tell me like he's frustrated. So I've had to talk to the teachers and the principal before and let them know that my son is not, the traditional learner. He's not just going to sit there and listen to you talk to him in order for him to learn. He's more visual than anything else.
Okay. What grade is your son in?
And
what grade is your son in?
He's in second grade.
He's in second grade. Okay, he has an IEP in the second grade, and he's diagnosed with ADHD in the second grade. I have a question for you. Why did you feel it was necessary to let him get evaluated for ADHD so young, and why did you feel it was necessary to put him in special ed so young?
Well, he was receiving early intervention services when he was 2 years old.
And he received those for what? He received those for what? What was the early intervention for?
Speech therapy.
Speech therapy? Okay, speech and OT. Yeah. Okay. So his special ed, is his special ed service only for speech and OT?
No, but how he got into it, it was like...
No, wait. I need you to answer my question. He's in special ed, and then I'm going to let you continue. He's in special ed for what? Does he still get speech? Does he still get...
Yeah, so he was...
No. Does he still get speech? Yes or no? No. Does he still get speech? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in addition to speech, what is he also in special ed for? Did they diagnose him with a learning disability, or is he in special ed just for ADHD or just for speech? You got to know what he's in special ed for. So speech plus what?
He's in special education because they say he has intellectual disability.
Okay, so they said he has an intellect. So let me be clear. He's in the second grade and he's diagnosed with an intellectual disability. He's diagnosed with ADHD. Am I clear? A second grader, both ADHD and mental retardation. Okay. Well, first of all, that intellectual disability, which is formerly mental retardation, we need to scrutinize that. We need to scrutinize that because there's a chance that your son may not be intellectually disabled. Okay, diagnosing a kid with intellectual disability that young, especially a black kid on a culturally biased test administered by a white person, significantly increases the likelihood that it may have been a misdiagnosis. So what I need you to do is I need you to fax me. Do you have his evaluation report that claims he's intellectually disabled? Do you have that to email or fax? Do you have it on your computer or do you have it hard copy?
I have hard copy.
Okay, so I'm going to give you my fax number because I need you to fax that to me. I would like to see it because a black boy is 4 times as likely as a white boy to be misdiagnosed as retarded. Okay, and I think your son may have been misdiagnosed. It could have been correct, but I doubt it. Okay, because this is what I do for a living. I doubt it. I think your son was misdiagnosed. I'm pretty sure he was misdiagnosed with the autism. I think both of those diagnoses are nonsense. Okay, but go ahead and finish with your question. Then I'm going to give you my fax number because I want to read that report. Go ahead.
Okay, so when I teach things to
Hold
him,
on, sis. Hold on, sis. I'm sorry. I need everybody to mute your phones. The sister talking, I'm hearing background conversations. Okay, or is that you, sis? Is that your background?
No, that's not my background.
Okay, that's not your background. I need everybody to mute their phone. I shouldn't have to ask for that. I really shouldn't have to ask for that. We should have enough respect for each other to just do that. Okay, go ahead and finish. Somebody's still on that line, running a damn mouth on my call. Negroes. Go ahead, sister.
Okay, so they were telling me that there was a lot of things that he didn't know how to do, like his ABCs and count and things of that nature. And I kept telling him he does know how to do these things. So I actually had to end up taking and video recording him and then sending it to him in an email to show them that y'all keep saying that he can't do these things, and I'm telling y'all that he can, but y'all don't believe me. So when I show them these videos and they see that he knows how to do this stuff, the teacher says to me, well, I gave him a test this morning and he didn't know how to do it. So the problem that I have is that you just can't sit down and say 6 plus 3. You have to show him 6 plus 3, but you got to put the dots and things.
But that's not intelligence. That's not intelligence. That's skill. In other words, and I'm hearing you, good sister, but that has nothing to do with him being intellectually disabled. That's skill. In other words, you cannot diagnose a kid as intellectually disabled because he lacks a certain skill. Skills have to be taught. Skills have to be developed. If he don't know his numbers and if he don't know his letters and all of that, it's because he never been taught it. Okay, either we're not working with him enough at home to learn it, or he's not getting the appropriate instruction and repetition at school. But that has nothing to do with his level of intelligence. You don't get diagnosed because you don't know your numbers or your letters. You get diagnosed as being intellectually disabled because of your score on the IQ test. And that's why I need to see your son's evaluation report. But I need your parents to slow down on these evaluations. He was too young. You should have never given, and I'm not faulting you because you didn't know any better, but you should have never gave permission for him to be evaluated for ADHD that young. You should have never gave permission for him to be evaluated for special ed that young. Okay, he's too young for that. We have to stop getting these evaluations when these babies are that young. All psychological evaluations are opinions. They are only professional opinions, period. Okay, but you can undo this. You can undo this, and based on what I see when I read the report, I'll have a better recommendation for how we should move out.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that that's what he has intellectual disability for. What I'm trying to ask really is that, will I be able, or am I able to get a 504 plan for him for an accommodation for his specific learning style?
Okay, you can only get the 504. Okay, he has a diagnosed condition. He could get the 504 for the ADHD. Okay, he could get the 504 for the intellectual disability. Okay, you don't necessarily get a 504 for a different learning style. You can push it, but it normally needs to be a diagnosed condition of some type. But my whole thing is, I mean, your son has the IEP, the intellectual disability, and then he got the ADHD, and now we looking for a 504. I mean, we loading up on this kid. I got a funny feeling if I evaluated your son, I find out he needs nothing but more practice on his academics and a little bit more discipline. But if you want to,
he doesn't have intellectual disability. I don't agree with it, but when it was given to me, it wasn't told to me what intellectual disability was. They didn't just say, oh, it means that he's retarded. They gave me every other explanation of it when it wasn't,
I got you. I got you. But you should have never signed that form. Don't sign nothing else. He could have never been evaluated without your permission. It could have never happened.
I signed it, but what I'm saying is when I went to the doctor and he was the one that told me that he thinks he needs to be seen, for additional early intervention services, the place that he sent me to was a place that deals with child development. So when they, did this evaluation, all of that came up under it. I didn't know anything about that. I'm just thinking, they're going to just diagnose him and saying, oh, well, he just needs more speech or things of that nature. But I didn't know that he was going to have all of these diagnoses that came with it.
Right. But once again, I don't care what the doctors. Yeah, but the hospital is the hospital. I mean, a hospital can have their opinion, but you don't let the hospital, the doctor's opinion at the hospital, determine what you're going to do with your child in the school. They not in the school. So the doctor can say all kind of stuff in the hospital. He ain't in the school though. So we got to stop letting people who not even there. He's not even there. He's the doctor at the hospital. He cannot tell you what your son need in school because he ain't in the school. He's a doctor. He ain't no psychologist. You understand? He's the doctor. So, we just got to, and it ain't your fault. I'm not coming down on you at all. But we just have to be a little bit more careful whose advice we take. And we need to make sure we agree with the advice when we take it. And we need to understand that doctors work in hospitals. They don't work in schools. That's like me as the psychologist telling you, your child needs surgery. How the hell I'm gonna say he needs surgery? I'm not no doctor. So it's the same thing with the medical doctor. That's it. And sometimes because they're medical doctors, we think they're experts in everything. Medical doctor ain't taught education. They don't know nothing about education. They know very little about special ed. Their advice isn't worth very much in the school setting unless it has to do with medical issues. If it's not a medical issue, it don't involve them. Doctors, they ain't got nothing to do with special ed. They ain't got nothing to do with special ed. So, just be a little bit more careful about how we moving out because, I just need you to understand what I'm saying because we done loaded up on this kid. He's only in the second grade. He's loaded up on, we're going to get a 504. He got an IEP, he got intellectual disability, got ADHD. He's only in the second grade. That is ridiculous. So it's time to slow on down with all of that. The next, okay, you want the 504. You can get the 504. You can get the 504. But again, if he has an IEP, for either the ADHD or the intellectual disability, any accommodations you want can be put on the IEP. But there's nothing wrong with a separate 504, especially if we plan to remove him from special ed. So, yeah. But I think we need to get them labels off your son. That's what I think. But think about it. But I want to see the report. I want to see the report because we don't want your son going around diagnosed as intellectually disabled. That's going to affect him because that means he's going to be in a very slow class. Intellectually disabled kids, they're going to separate him out. He's going to suffer. He's going to suffer if we leave that label on him. So please get me the eval. Are you ready for my fax number?
Yeah, I'm ready.
It's 215-827-5404. 215-827-5404. After you fax the evaluation, you need to text me. And my cell number is 215-989-9858. 215-989-9858. Text me. Tell me that you faxed it. Tell me your son's name and tell me the area code that it was faxed from. Your son's name and the area code it was faxed from. That's what you're going to text me after it was faxed so I can pull it up and call you and let you know what I think.
Right.
Hold on. Who the brother in the back? Who the brother? There's a brother on my line who's talking out loud. My brother, mute your phone. I don't need to hear you. Mute your phone. But is your son on medication?
No, he's not on medication.
Okay, thank God. No meds. Good. Keep it that way. All right, so get me that eval and then send me a text, and we're going to talk.
So you want me to send you an email and a text?
No, I want you to send me the evaluation. That's the fax. Unless you have it on your computer, you can email it. Do you prefer to email it or do you prefer to fax it?
No, I have to fax it because it's just hard copy.
Okay, so then you fax that, then you're going to text me.
Okay.
To let me know that you faxed it, your son's name, and the area code that you're faxing from. So make sure you know the number that you're faxing from. That's the only way I can pull it up because I get lots of faxes from lots of different parents.
Okay.
All right?
Okay, thank you.
No problem. All right, sweetheart. Take care. Is there another question on the call?
I have a co-parenting question.
Sure. Where you calling from?
Allentown.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I try to have my daughter's father involved in her life. I want him to keep that communication open. But the problem is that he's not really stable, so I can't have her go over to him. So he's always coming down to my house because he lives in New York. And I get upset because I feel like he's infringing upon my personal space. But this seems to be the only way that he's able to spend time with his daughter. And so I'm just thinking, like, am I being a pushover by having him come in my personal space, knowing, but, there's no other way for him to, besides, being on the phone, for him to really have communication with her.
Now, okay, when he comes, how often is he staying? How long does he stay? Is he coming down for a day and he's leaving, or he's staying for the weekend? What's going on?
Like the weekend. The weekend.
Only you can decide if that is too much. It sounds like it's too much for me. But I don't know. I don't know your situation. I don't know if you have a significant other or working on having a significant other, but ain't no man going to tolerate the baby dad, staying over for a weekend just to see their kid. That ain't sounding too right. So what you may have to do is you may have to, the 2 days is a good thing, but maybe you and him can work together where he can stay at a hotel. That's an option. Maybe you have a friend or relative who wouldn't mind having him stay there. That's what I would do. If he's not too much of a risk, I would have my brother or uncle, or someone I know say, hey, you can stay over his house, but I'm not comfortable with you staying in my house anymore because we need to keep the boundaries clear and make it, make sure we know what this is not about us. It's about the child. So I would find another place for him to stay. That's what I would do. How often does he come down? Is this monthly or weekly or?
It's like, because now she's in boarding school, so she'll come down for Thanksgiving. He came for 2 days. She's coming home for Christmas. He'll be down for, another 2 days. The thing about it is that, yes, like you said, I don't have a significant other right now, and I kind of wonder, well, what would happen? How would he work around this if I did have a significant other? So I think in that respect, he, is comfortable in saying, well, I know she ain't got nobody, so I can go down here.
Well, here's the thing.
But I always wonder about.
You have to set the boundaries. He ain't setting them. You're going to have to set the boundaries. So it's all going to come down to you. If it was me, I would find someone else he could stay with. A friend or relative who he could stay with. That's what I would do. The other thing, too, you got Airbnb, you got hotels, you got motels, you got rooms you can rent. You can even look in the newspaper, go online, Craigslist. There's always people renting rooms, $50 a night. You can have an arrangement where you just pay them or he pays them or y'all go half on that $100 bill for those 2 nights. But there's a lot of creative things that can be done to avoid him from sleeping in your house 2 nights a week.
Right. He's really limited on funds. I don't get child support, but I don't let that be a deterrent.
And
having a relationship with her.
Yeah, and I applaud you for that. But even with the limited funds, okay, we don't want to disrupt his relationship with his daughter, no matter what. We want the 2 days to continue. And I want to emphasize that, okay? At the same time, you got to decide how far you're willing to go to accommodate the situation. If it was me and he's, I would split it with him. I would say, listen, well, first of all, if you can afford the whole thing, pay the whole thing, in terms of, hotel and lodging. But I really think you can find someone he can stay with. I really think you can find someone else, that he can stay with. So you got to make sure that, you ain't necessarily wanting them in that house too, because you can find someone else for him to stay with for them 2 nights, because it ain't that he ain't staying for months or anything like that. Renting a room, people are always renting rooms. So, if you want him out the house, I don't think it takes much to set that up.
Okay.
You feel me? But you got to know yourself, though. You got to, are you done with him is the question.
No, there's nothing funny going on there. Trust me.
I got you.
Half of the time when he comes, I go out of the house. I find something else to do. Like don't want to like argue with him in front of her, because that has happened a couple of times, and I told him that's why I don't want you in my personal space, because I don't want to argue like that in front of her. I end up apologizing to her. I try to curb my behavior, but I feel like, why am I curbing my behavior in my personal space? And that's where, and so it's like a real funny situation. He even has another daughter in Jamaica who came down to stay with us for Christmas, and I wanted, my daughter to know her sister and develop that bond, that relationship. So I think I do a lot of things to go above and beyond so that, I can do things differently than how I was brought up.
Right.
But at the same time, I feel like my personal well-being is put at risk because he is unable to provide and do for himself, and therefore it leaves me accommodating.
I follow you. Yeah, I think it's time for you to to professionalize the situation. I think it's time for you to professionalize the situation, come up with some rooming options for him that does not include your home, and then determine how far you're able to meet him financially so that can take place.
Yeah, me meeting him financially is not going to happen.
Okay.
That can happen.
Well, the other thing too is your daughter goes up. The other thing too, and I don't know, if he has family where he lives, but she may have to go and visit him as opposed to him coming down to visit her, or maybe that can alternate. That's another way to reduce the amount of time that he spends in your home.
He doesn't have that support. I mean, he's been in a position where he's been living in a room like in New York, and there's been times that I've sent her up there, and I'm like, you guys kind of figure it out. You know what I mean? But she's older now. She's in high school, and that's just not going to work for her.
Well, here's the other thing. Because she's in high school, she's not a young child. Because she's in high school, I don't really see why he got to be in your house at all. She's in high school. She's at a boarding school. Okay. And most boarding schools have a place where parents can stay, for a day or two. So if he has to, stay at the boarding school, I know they got an extra cottage, an extra room, a parent suite, that's what we had at Scotland. We had a cottage where the parents could come and stay for a weekend, whatever the case may be. So I'm sure that they could accommodate him in some way. If you say, listen, I want to see my daughter, they might not accommodate him every week, but I'm sure they would accommodate him at least once a month or twice a month. So, again, I just think there's a lot of options outside of him coming to your home.
Okay, I'll look into that with the school, how he can set that up for himself.
Right.
Thank you.
Good luck with that, sis. Good luck with that.
All right, thank you.
All right. Is there another question on the call? Okay. I think we're all done. So, family, this is the Prince of Pan-Africanism. I'm about to sign out. And y'all need to cut it out in Facebook world. She wasn't trying to give him no cookies, okay? She wasn't looking for no milk with her cookies, all right? She was just looking out for the baby girl. So, good stuff today, good stuff. We'll be back again next Tuesday. Again, I need y'all to keep your eyes peeled for school properties out there that Dr. Umar can go and visit and check out, all right? And looking forward to the Kwanzaa tour this year. Another year almost done. Only got a few more weeks. We need to make some good New Year's resolutions, Black family, some good New Year's resolutions. So this is the Prince of Pan-Africanism. I'm signing out. Everybody have a blessed week. One love.